Okay, I wasn't gonna make you wait that long. All right, it's socially awkward with Evan Wexell. I have someone in my waiting room. I should let them in. I'm worried. It's a lot of that's a man's name right there. Craig Brockie.
Evan, let me in, brother.
Was it intended for you to have the most masculine name ever created?
Yeah. I planned that out right before birth. I put that out there and made sure that happened.
You were born and one day you were going to have an outstanding lacrosse/UFC career. And with that name, Craig Brockie. And now you've done something completely different. Now you're here with a book. Now I know you have your sign in the back. I should have had my pull-up sign. Instead, I just have all my show flyers. But I did bring gifts. I brought for you guys. It's his new book. You made it to number 1 when it came out.
That's right.
Called Ultimate Health. Break free from your health issues and live your best life. Right away, that's probably going to hit the algorithm a lot. I can tell.
That's right.
So I know I initially only knew you because I reviewed your product on Amazon. Yes. It was like a Frisbee. And that was not doing the trick for your health. So you're like, I got to write a book that kind of more holistically handles people.
That's right. That's right.
In the world,
I used to own a Frisbee business on Amazon, sold bike lights and other things just to give people context. And I sold that business in 2022. And now we're doing health, baby.
It's good. You leveled up. And I guess tell me what made you write this book, your health story, and how you are now an Adonis.
Well, I don't want to bore people, but what really encouraged me to write this book was about 20 years ago, I had an employee and his dad was dying of cancer. And at the time I had all this great information about how to cure cancer naturally and really make your body healthy and pretty much overcome any kind of symptom or disease. And I was trying to share that information with him, but I had zero altitude. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy who, when he was 21 years old, my health totally fell apart. I had chronic anxiety. I had chronic pain in my neck and my back. My immune system was just trashed and I was sick all the time. And I basically had to learn how to take care of myself properly and heal my body. And by that point, I had learned how to do that and wanted to share this information with his father. And unfortunately, his doctors had told him that he only had a certain amount of time to live. And that's basically what happened. He just passed away. And it was really quite sad. And I thought, geez, if I write a book, maybe I can impact the lives of people. And my first book was called Take Control of Your Health. And that came out in 2008. And now I've got Ultimate Health, which is definitely an upgraded version. And it's super easy to read and will help you.
So where were you? Were you just like pulling from all these different places? Like, had you seen a bunch of doctors yourself where you then got this information and they directed you where to go? Like I never knew if you had a first book. What changed then from that to this?
Okay, well, let's handle those one at a time. Yeah. So I did try to do conventional medicine and the doctors really couldn't tell me anything was wrong with me specifically. So that's when I basically was introduced to this massage therapist of all people. Wow. And he was into Chinese medicine and energy work and Qigong is called. Anyway, he basically told me that what I did for my health was 90% of it and what he did was only 10%. So he basically put the responsibility on me to improve my health. And then he put me on to naturopathic medicine. Okay. And for me, that was just a game changer. I found out that I had a leaky gut. I'd taken a whole bunch of antibiotics in high school and I think trashed my gut and actually developed small holes in it. So things that I was eating and drinking were actually leaking into my bloodstream. Oh. And so anybody who's listening to this, who knows anybody who's got fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue or a myriad of other symptoms, you really should get your gut health checked out because a lot of people have fungal overgrowth. I had that in your gut, like in your small intestine and your colon. And my health was just trash. And so by healing my gut and then healing all the other organs and getting everything back on track, my health just went great. and my anxiety went away as well. What a lot of people don't realize is that your neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, GABA are actually produced in your gut. So when your gut's not operating properly, it can actually affect your mood a lot also. So just, starting with the gut, you want to handle that. And then, so since 2008, when I released Take Control of Your Health, I've just learned a lot more. I've spent over 30 years now, or about 30 years rather, and traveled all around the world doing advanced health and wellness and performance enhancing technologies with all kinds of doctors, all kinds of different modalities. And it's really easy actually to get your health back on track. And that's why I wrote a book, because I didn't want to complicate things, because the medical system tries to confuse people with Latin terms for diseases and different things. And it just doesn't have to be that complicated. So I just kind of laid out the path. And, I think within a few weeks, if you follow the advice in this book, you're going to feel a lot better. And I feel any kind of symptom you have, you can definitely get rid of that.
So you can unleak a gut?
You can unleak a gut, brother.
Wow. Yeah, I know. Because obviously, when I was injured in college, I think I took a lot of ibuprofen, so I know that can do a number sometimes on your gut.
Yeah.
And and I've also just even I've had skin stuff, and you go to, I was told I was allergic to strawberries and peanuts because of that for that episode, but I just had them in the last few days, so I'm good. I must have known some of it. So then the layout of this book is this condition, this chapter, or is it what's your journey for the reader? How are you taking care of them in this book?
Okay, well, the first chapter is all about getting your colon working properly.
Yeah.
And so obviously, here's the thing is, if you want to detox your liver, for instance, or your kidneys or other parts of your body, you want to make sure your colon is operating properly, because that's where the most toxic stuff is in your body. So basically cleaning that out and making sure it's moving regularly is important, because if you start knocking out, for instance, fungus or mold or anything that you like, bacterial overgrowth in your body, and your colon's not working properly, you get this unpleasant reaction, and you can get headaches and flu-like symptoms, and it just overwhelms your body basically. So I just set the tone there, how to make sure that your detox protocol is a healthy, happy one. And then chapter 2, I go into all about how to flood your body with oxygen, and that's a really cool subject. Evan, have you heard about any oxygen?
Well, I know there are oxygen bars. You go to the bar and then you hook up the oxygen to your nose or something, like a Star Wars kind of intergalactic bar. But does that involve the hyperbaric chambers, or is it more oxygen?
Yeah, hyperbaric chambers is definitely a mainstream version of it.
Yeah.
A lot of professional athletes have popularized that, because when they get on the injured reserve list, they have to get back into action as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So their trainers and doctors will put them in hyperbaric chambers to help their body super saturate with oxygen so that it heals faster. But there's dozens of different treatments, and you don't have to buy a hyperbaric chamber for your house or go get hyperbaric treatments to flood your body with oxygen. In fact, I'll just give you a quick strategy right now that's very inexpensive. There's a supplement called MSM. It's also called organic sulfur, MSM. And by taking that, your body will actually hold on to more oxygen. So just taking MSM and breathing more deeply throughout the day, you can actually raise your oxygen levels and keep them at a higher level. A lot of people may or may not know this, but the agricultural industry stopped putting minerals, like most minerals, onto the soil, and they just use petrochemicals based minerals now.
Nice.
And there's only, I believe, 3 of them that they put on the crops. Plus they're putting pesticides and herbicides and all that other crap.
Yeah.
But a lot of the important minerals are now not in the soil anymore. So therefore the plants don't have them, the animals don't have them. And it's really important to get the right minerals in your body. And MSM or sulfur is one of those things that will help your body hold on to more oxygen. And then there's all kinds of other treatments now. There's oxygen water baths now. There's one called Cocoon. There's ozone treatments that are fantastic. I used to I didn't have to go down to. I used to go down to Mexico years ago to get this ozone treatment that was so powerful. They put a catheter in one arm, and your blood would go out into an ozone machine and get super saturated with ozone, and it goes from like a dark purple color from your vein into this bright cherry color, and it's getting super oxygenated, and that's killing any microbes, bacteria, fungus, parasites, whatever that's in there. Then it would go through a filter, and then it would go into my other arm, and you would run that circuit for about 45 to just over an hour minutes. And by the time you're done, the blood going out from your vein was the same color as the blood going back in, because your body was just so like your blood was just teeming with oxygen. And that's a extreme oxygen therapy. But there's actually 2 of those in Clearwater now. I used to have to go down to Mexico to get these things because they're not FDA approved, and no one really wanted to take the risk of doing that in the United States.
But now you said there's 2 in Florida.
Yeah. And there's also these cocoon baths are called, not cocoon like C-A, but it's actually spelled K-A-Q-U-N, cocoon.
I'm still going to think of Wilford Brimley in the movie. He's just like sucking life out of aliens, and you're just becoming renewed in exchange. But yeah, I know for trademark purposes.
I felt so socially awkward there for a moment. And so you're
number one.
Good. Anyway, cocoon baths is K-A-Q-U-N.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard that actually. Yeah.
A friend of mine, she used to have terrible Lyme's disease. She had debilitating Lyme's symptoms, and cocoon baths really helped her and get over the symptoms. And now she's in great condition. She's also done some other things too, but
I think she went to Nevada for that one. That was where she went. I think she went to Nevada for hers.
The original cocoon baths were in Nevada, like Vegas and Los Angeles, and they're still there. But they've spread out. They're all over the U.S. now.
So when you're traveling, then when you go out of this is this the motivation for most of your travel, just to find what other health stuff I can get into, or like, because it sounds like this has been like a lifetime pursuit. I don't know if it if you're, I know actually, even though we're friends, I still know very little about you, but still, like, are you traveling? Like, are you trying to see like what health stuff I can pick up during my travels? Or
I do. I mean, for me, I used to be in such bad shape that I was kind of doing that because I was wounded. I had a problem, and so I was in this pursuit of trying to find solutions, and that's what led me to all kinds of great things, including things to do with mental health. And we're recording this in May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And there's so many great technologies out today right now for mental health too. In fact, there's a website, truehope.com. Up in Canada, it's truehope.ca. And basically it's nutritional protocols for people that have either current drug issues, like whether they're taking psychiatric drugs to handle anxiety, depression, or people that are considering doing that. The founder actually lost his wife to manic depression or bipolar disorder, and both his children, or 2 of his children, I believe he had more than 2, but 2 of his children actually also were diagnosed with bipolar disorder and were suicidal. And that's what pushed him to discovering what are these nutrients that people are missing, and what can I put into their diet to help handle these things. And he figured that out, and he built a whole company and brand around it called True Hope. truehope.com. So that's just one thing that people can take away from this on this interview.
Were there certain doctors that guided you in this book? Like, are there names that have always just come up for you as like, this is stable? Like, I know I can always look back to this person. Like, I'm a Dr. Berg. Like, I've discovered Dr. Berg in the last few years, and he has everything handled. So
for sure.
What have you? What are there names? Because I was, these are not like medical guarantees. This is an informational book, so take it for what it is. But were there medical professionals that you've come across that have resurfaced, inspiring the book?
For sure. I used to live up in Vancouver, Canada. I grew up in Canada, on the Minnesota border, actually a small town called Fort Francis. And I lived in Winnipeg, and that's where I met this massage guy who got me
Wow.
massage therapist who got me going on the right path. And then Vancouver is where I really turned my health around, and it's quite an advanced area for naturopathic medicine and holistic medicine and alternative medicine. It's been kind of ahead of the curve, I guess, as far as Canada goes. And there's a great clinic called the Vancouver Naturopathic Clinic, and it's run by a good friend of mine now named Dr. Lawrence Swetlikoff. He wrote the forward to my book, and he's excellent up in Vancouver. Here in Clearwater, there's Dr. David Minkoff is excellent. I mean, Dr. Berg is excellent also.
Right.
There's so many good people. I believe Dr. Mercola has a lot of great information, and he's been so suppressed.
He's one of the 12, but
exactly,
that's almost like I would probably check these people out more. Yeah,
exactly. In fact, at the end of my book, I talk about that in the epilogue, that the more a doctor is actually helping people without drugs and surgery, the more of a threat they are to the big pharma surgery, health insurance industry, and the more they're attacked. In fact, there's a great documentary called Cancer, The Forbidden Cures. You can't even watch it on YouTube. You have to go to Rumble to watch it. Cancer, the Forbidden Cures. It's forbidden even today on YouTube.
Yeah, I'd seen one video. I think it was about just like making a diet more raw, alkalizing your body. I've seen that as helpful.
Right. Yeah. So chapter 3 actually gets into the acidosis and alkalinity, that the whole pH concept that's covered in chapter 3. Chapter 4, we're getting into other detoxifying the rest of your body, like your kidneys, your liver, all those things. I've got a whole chapter on mental health. I've got one on pain relief. I used to have chronic pain. I know how much that sucks. So I've got a whole chapter in there. A lot of inexpensive solutions, things you can do at home to relieve pain. And actually MSM, that one supplement I mentioned, that helps release tension and soften up muscle tissue and scar tissue, as well as magnesium. Magnesium is an excellent mineral you can take that helps your muscles relax. So yeah.
That's good. There's a lot I can learn there. What's your daily routine then? Do you have now like a health routine that you stick with that maintains you in your full brockiness, or do you just now, like, you've been fixed, so now like I can now go back to fast food and chocolate?
Well, I mean, I do my best to avoid carbohydrates for the most part.
Yeah.
I find that my body seems to store fat pretty easily.
Yeah.
And carbohydrates seem to trigger that for me, and also give me cravings and makes it. I just find like if I keep them dialed down, I do better personally. And I like to eat all organic if possible. Obviously, when you're going to restaurants, that's almost impossible. All the food chains and restaurants, no matter where you go, they get most of their food from Sysco, Sysco, Sysco. So most of it's not organic, but I know there's a lot of concern about seed oils these days and sugar. I think those are, for good reason.
And I think Netflix has a new doc out about like gut health. I think there's something new. There's a new documentary on Netflix about gut health. Yeah.
That's great. Well, I haven't watched it yet, but hopefully it's good. And there's a book called Super Gut by Dr. William Davis. He's actually the guy that inspired me to get into the probiotic yogurt market. Wow. I actually have the #1 best-selling probiotic yogurt maker on Amazon today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What's a good upsell? I'd rather be upselled on a yogurt maker than a hyperbaric chamber. There was an opportunity there. Really, you lowered your ask. You could have asked for a hyperbaric chamber. What do you think? What is a hyperbaric chamber run about? Like 100,000, you think? Or
I think you can get portable ones for the house for 1,000 or 2, or maybe.
Oh, really?
But they're probably not that great quality. They probably don't do the highest amount of pressure that you would.
But I want a good one. So, can I get a hyperbaric chamber on Amazon?
I believe you can. I just don't. I have not looked into those personally in terms of how many atmospheres of pressure they produce.
Oh my gosh.
Just on the topic of hyperbaric, just out of interest sake, for people to visualize this, you know, when you open up a can of soda and all the bubbles release, or sparkling water, or it's a similar concept, except when you pressurize your body and you're breathing oxygen, your body just holds on to more oxygen because it's pressurized.
Yeah.
So it's similar. Obviously, you know, when you come out, you're not going to bubble or anything like that, but that's how it works to get more oxygen in your body. Coming back to the yogurt maker, though, the cool thing about it is you can take any commercial probiotic, whether you buy it on Amazon or iHerb.com or any kind of clinical setting, and you can actually take that one capsule of that and actually turn it. Usually there's a few billion live cultures in there, or maybe 10, 20 billion live cultures, but you can actually turn that into trillions of live cultures.
Wow.
And then you don't even have to buy more probiotics, because you can actually just use a spoonful of that yogurt to make another batch at the end. So it's not only is it much, much stronger than taking a capsule, but it's much more affordable too.
You can avoid, like, if someone has like a dairy sensitivity, is there such a thing as dairy-free yogurt, or do we just go straight to the probiotic?
There is, but just on a little story on that, a good friend of mine he had a dairy intolerance, and I sent him one of these yogurt makers and a copy of the book Super Gut, and the probiotics he needed to get started, and he started making these probiotics, and within a few weeks, even though he was dairy intolerant, the thing people need to know is that a lot of the things that, like lactose is one of the main things that people are sensitive to. And the fermentation process actually breaks down lactose, and the probiotics actually feed off of sugars. So the probiotics are actually eating the lactose in the milk. So a lot of people with dairy intolerance actually can tolerate high quality probiotic yogurt, but more so after just 2 or 3 weeks, his dairy intolerance was gone, and now he can handle dairy. But if a person's vegan, or if they want to avoid dairy and they just want to be on the safe side, or they have some other reason for avoiding dairy, you can use goat's milk, you can use soy milk, you can use other milks, but it gets complicated with like coconut milk and nut milks. They get a little bit more complicated. But half and half cream is just so good. You won't even want to have ice cream anymore once you get into that stuff.
Oh my God, we got to tell Baskin Robbins.
That's right.
Add it on to the flavors. Okay, cool. And not even is health, like, has healthier like been your whole career? I know you had the Amazon thing, but I know you're very also in tune to the rise and fall of finance markets or real estate, or is this all just was that hobby stuff, or is health your main focus?
Well, I'm just interested in a lot of things in life, to be honest. And like, I used to do internet marketing aggressively. I still do. But in the 1990s, I started doing search engine optimization before they even called it search engine. It was called search engine positioning back then.
Right.
Anyway, I did that and made a lot of money. I was very fortunate and was able to retire when I was, I believe, in around 30 years old. I retired. And just
wait, hold on. You've been retired for 20 years or whatever?
No, I mean, I retired when I was 30 years old, and then focused on raising my family.
Okay.
And then I work now, and I got back into working. Yeah.
Okay.
I realized
I gotcha.
But anyway, I got into investing after I made a lot of money. I thought, well, I'll just stay at home and make money off the markets.
Right.
And then here I am back doing internet marketing. I sell on Amazon a lot.
So now how the industry has changed. I wanted to get one thing. What's the difference between holistic and naturopathic? Because a lot of people may mix those up, like, or they think they're the same thing. I just wanted to get that distinction.
I mean, I would have to look up the definition myself, to be honest. I think there's a lot of overlap for sure. I believe holistic can include things that could be like homeopathy and other things. Like, I mean, traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture could probably fall under holistic medicine, whereas naturopathic is a little bit more specific and has its own lane. With naturopathic medicine, you're probably dealing with herbs and vitamins, and doing vitamin IVs and ozone treatments and things of that nature.
Okay. So then going back
broad.
Then what?
Holistic is just more broad from what I
Gotcha.
can tell.
Yeah. Okay. So now with what you know about health and following markets, like, do you see certain types of like companies then being more prominent in markets, or do you think it's always going to be like big pharma conglomerate stocks are the things to hold on to, or do you think there's a certain niche of
Right.
where things could be in the next 5 or 10 years?
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah,
I
why not?
see
You know everything.
something that's huge right now, something I cover in my book, which I think you're going to love reading about, are peptides. And peptides are all they
I
are
pulled up
is,
my book too. Okay,
thank you,
that's
Evan.
completely unrelated. That's just
Awesome.
sports calls. Anyway,
I love it.
you reviewed my other book. My other book, actually. So
That is a hilarious book.
you wrote a good review on my book. This is
Yes.
another book.
The
You wrote I was
Spanish.
from another planet, and I'm putting that in my one sheet. I don't know what to use the one sheet for, but I'll put that up there too. There we go. Anyway,
Coming back to peptides. So
yes, back to
what a
peptides.
peptide is it's simply a small chain of amino acids. And amino acids, if you're not familiar, are just the building blocks of proteins. And amino acids make up neurotransmitters, they make up enzymes, they make up hormones, and a host of other things like muscle and collagen. So amino acids are very important, and how they're arranged is also very important. And when they're arranged in the form of peptides, which are, it's almost like an amino acid is a command, a specific command for your body, and a peptide, because it's a series of commands or a series of peptides together, or sorry, amino acids together, is like a program. It's almost like an app for your body, and they have really profound effects. So one simple example is insulin. Insulin is a peptide, and it was actually the first synthetic peptide that was produced over 100 years ago. So peptides have been used for over 100 years now, but now what's really cool is they're releasing very specific ones. And the weight loss peptide, semaglutide, it's also known under the brand name Ozempic.
Yeah.
And sorry, that's the diabetes version. The weight loss version is called Wegovy. Right. And there's other ones also. Those are super strong. In fact, I'm not necessarily suggesting you go out and try those, because there's probably some other things you could do, first of all, to lose weight or handle your blood sugar.
Right.
But they are profoundly powerful, to the point where you only have to take 1/4 milligram of semaglutide once a week initially, 1/4 milligram once a week, and it suppresses your appetite to the point where you're going to lose pounds in the first week.
Do we still want to like wait on like what the long-term effects of that are, or are we gonna, or it seems like it's a good like handle a symptom approach?
I cover some of those issues in my book, because I personally am pro peptide, and I've used semaglutide and some of these other weight loss peptides. Okay. But you were asking me, and there's ways to handle any kind of issue that one would have with that, like muscle loss or rebound weight gain after the fact. There's ways of, eliminating that, or at least reducing those risks.
Right.
But a person has to realize, like, if you've tried other things to lose weight and you haven't, or you have type 2 diabetes and you're unable to improve those things, those in themselves are strong risks to your health. So getting your body mass and your body fat down maybe is probably a good idea. Like, especially if you're doing healthy things and using that time that you're on semaglutide to actually improve your lifestyle. And it's almost impossible to not get into intermittent fasting when you're doing these things, because it suppresses your appetite so much. So just the fact of doing intermittent fasting helps your body heal and helps your gut heal. And there's a lot of positive things, as long as you're keeping your protein uptake high and using essential amino acids, which are the amino acids your body cannot produce on its own.
Right.
But that's another product I have, the ultimate essential amino acids, because they're great. There's other brands though people can look at, and those are really important to take while you're losing weight, to make sure you maintain your muscle and your metabolism. So those are pretty important things. But if I may, I just want to continue on the peptides. Sure. What I'm seeing in the industry, Evan, just from a business perspective, is that the FDA is starting to lose control, because there's a lot of research chemical companies on the web right now that are selling peptides, and they're selling them for research purposes only, not for human consumption.
Right.
basically they're unregulated and they're a lot less expensive. So a month's supply of semaglutide or Wegovy or Ozempic from
Mhm.
your doctor might be over $1,000 that the insurance company is paying, but that same amount of peptide from an online source might be as little as $10, believe it or not.
Oh,
Like
no.
it's that profound, the difference. I know one website specifically where you can get semaglutide for under $10 a milligram.
Yeah.
So sorry, in your first month, yeah, you take 1 milligram. You take a quarter milligram for once every week. So over the first month, you would take less than $10 worth of this
Right.
peptide, whereas the drug companies are charging over $1,000 to the insurance companies.
Yeah.
It's obviously a racket, right?
Right.
And to their defense, I almost rarely defend big pharma, but they do spend a lot of money into clinical trials and
Sure.
like developing these things and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then, of course, they upsell you with the hyperbaric chamber, but that's neither here nor there. So we're thinking like if we were to try to get in on the cutting edge of new health markets on what new like companies maybe they will go public. It would be a type of company that may just manufacture peptides. That's what I think. No?
I don't know. It's interesting. There's still all that FDA red
Red
tape
tape.
to
Yep.
get things approved, and then there's also, can they be patented? And
Sure.
that's the big problem with big pharma. And I mean, what I would do is look at whatever Bob Duggan's doing and invest in what he's doing. That guy's
Okay.
got the Midas touch.
Okay. We'll look up his portfolio. We'll pull it up here. And
I
then
mean,
and then
I believe
also
he's got more than one company on the go right now, and that guy's very successful.
and
And
there's also the alternate cover for your book over here. I don't know if that's come up. That's you. That's Donald Sutherland from Animal House as the professor. And isn't Photoshop great?
I can't
Pointing.
I can't see it on the screen. Are you
Oh,
trying
you
to pull it?
can't? Oh, I'm trying to share it. It's not letting me share it for some reason. It's the picture. That's why I said I loved you in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because that was Donald Sutherland. That was the look. That was the look. The 60s look.
But just continuing on the last concept,
Yeah.
I believe stem cells. There's like tons
Oh,
of
of
research in
course.
stem cells right now.
Yes.
Gene therapies. There's some
PRPs.
crazy gene
Yeah.
therapies, and there's a thing called peptide bioregulators,
Wow.
and these are actually peptides that you can take orally,
Uh-huh.
and those have profound effects. Just to explain quickly, a lot
Yeah.
of people have heard of collagen peptides,
Right.
and these are peptides that come from the skin. Typically, usually they come from the hide of, like beef,
Mhm.
like animals, steers probably,
Mhm.
that have been, yeah, I guess it would be steers that have
Yeah.
been, killed for their meat, basically.
Yes.
But they'll also harvest the liver, the kidney, and other areas of the body, even the eyes,
Mhm.
and remove the peptides from those. And just like collagen peptides have an affinity for your skin and can help build collagen in your skin and make you help with wrinkle reduction and look
Right.
younger. These peptide bioregulators from the liver, for instance, they're almost like jigsaw puzzles that float through your blood, and they only fit in one spot. And so the peptide that goes in your liver floats around, and all of a sudden, it finds its place that it can fit in, and that happens to be your liver. Liver peptides go in your liver, heart peptides go in your heart, and they just help rebalance and strengthen those organs. And they can actually turn back your biological age with these things and help you live longer, reduce risk of mortality, all kinds of really cool things. And I mentioned that in the book also. I'm actually involved in a research study right now that is specific.
What are they doing to you?
Well, we're measuring two things. One is the length of our telomeres, and telomeres are the caps on your chromosomes in your DNA.
Okay.
So basically, say you have a chromosome and you have these caps on the end, and those are called telomeres. And those telomeres are kind of protecting the chromosome from collapsing and dying, basically.
Okay.
And you want those, just like tread on a tire on your car tires, you want your telomeres to be as thick as possible, because it's giving you more wear and tear, basically more lifespan on your chromosomes.
Yeah.
So the length of your telomeres, it can be measured with a blood test. So that was the first thing that we did, was we measured my telomeres. And actually, before I even started the test or the study, I had long telomeres is what you want. You want to have long telomeres.
Right.
And I happen to have telomeres much younger than my chronological age, probably because of all the other things I've been doing for my health.
Right.
But this study, using these peptide bioregulators, these very specific peptides, is routinely, increasing the length of people's telomeres. And there are other things that will do that as well. And then also your methylation. That's the other thing that gets measured, is your ability to methylate. And that's very important. The 10X Health people, Gary Brecka. I don't know if you've heard of Gary Brecka at 10X Health.
What's to methylate?
Methylation is basically, let's use an analogy. So this is one I learned from Gary Brecka. He talks about methylation. So we all know about gasoline and oil. Like, you take crude oil out of the ground, and then you have to refine it for your body, for your car to actually use it. Mm-hmm. He explains methylation in that kind of way. So when you consume a vitamin, food, anything like that, it comes into your body kind of in its raw form, and your body has to convert it into a usable form. And that conversion is called methylation.
Wow.
And so how well your body's methylating things is super important. And that's another thing that this longevity study measures.
Wow. So do you think that now there's just going to be a bunch of more like healthy 110-year-olds walking around then, like 50 years from now, because they have long ass telomeres and they're
and gene therapies too. I mean, there's a peptide called follistatin, follistatin, follistatin.
Derivation, please. Sentence, please.
Anyway, there's actually people doing gene therapies now with follistatin, where it actually makes your body more able to create follistatin. I've actually tried follistatin because it's supposed to help build muscle. Mm-hmm. I've only tried the peptide itself and injected that. Whereas there's people that actually do gene therapies, which make your body more able to produce follistatin. But they're seeing all kinds of interesting positive effects from that, related to testosterone and other positive things. And then your body permanently is producing more follistatin, just as one example. But there's all kinds of gene therapies that, are also creepy. Like, I don't think the like the COVID stuff, I personally opted out of that, and I didn't really like where that one was heading. Yeah. But I think that there's also good gene therapies also to
make more Craig Brockies out there. We need a Brockie gene therapy.
That's right.
You're only 2% Brockie. We must raise it to 5%.
I'm aiming for 120. That's what I'm shooting for in terms of my age.
And you'll probably just drive until you're like 115 years old, and then 120. Oh, we're good. Okay, I got you.
But I think that playing sports into our 80s is a good target.
Oh, let's do that. Oh, and Michael Jordan can come back. He can have a whole new career. Take Anthony Edwards and see who's who. Yes.
Maybe not competitive sports.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot of a lot of stuff.
Let's play pickleball when we're 80.
I mean, no, we already have pickleball when they're 80. This is going to be like a century tournament, only 100 years and up. Pickleball tournament. No more breaking hips. They'll be like senior steroids with all this stuff you're talking about. So cool. There's a lot of good stuff here. And then, I guess something unrelated then, and you still see the real estate market. What's the future hold for real estate, you think, and your side hobby? Are rents going to finally go down, or are we going to keep going up? Is it all about the Fed? What's the deal?
This is about a health conversation, but my personal opinion
about where we live
is we're at the end of a bull market that started in 2009.
Okay.
It looks to me like we're having a blow off top right now in the stock market and crypto and stuff. And I think the stock market and crypto is probably going to go up more this year. And then we're probably going to get some severe bear market, which will affect real estate. Where I live here near Tampa, Florida, in Clearwater Beach, I'm already seeing the high end market unable to sell their properties and people dropping the prices for selling their houses. There's also a lot of markets where rents are falling already. I mean, there's an argument that when the bear market hits and people lose their jobs, that they move from their house because they have to, and get into rental properties, which creates more demand for rent. So there's that argument also. I truly believe, though, that there's going to be enough pressure on people being laid off and things of that nature that, rents are going to continue to fall at least next year. But, I'm optimistic about the economy after that. And I think if we get the right leadership in the country and we start doing things properly and, running, if we're all producing more, we should bounce out of it. And there's the health
buying a yogurt maker in no time. It's all about if we can get more yogurt makers into households.
That's right. I'm definitely not concerned about it. I've been through a bear market as an investor, and I've been through a bear market as a business owner, and did well in both of those. So I'm not personally too concerned about it.
Okay. I was mildly concerned, but I'm okay now. You've eased my mind. Right. All right. So I guess I'll let you go here. I know you have calls to make that are more important than mine, and you have to go travel in places that are nicer than sometimes America. But this is good. We learned a lot. The book, I'm going to put
here it is, everybody.
Here it is. Here it is. Here's the QR right here. Boom. Scan that sucker. It's cheaper as an ebook, but we don't believe in that. You're going to get the paperback because that way you can make notes, and maybe Craig will send you in an autographed copy.
Maybe.
Or
that'd be awesome.
Direct you to his clinic in Canada or something, or get a free 10% off your telomeres deal.
That's right.
We're gonna have a glossary for this episode, but it's okay. We learned a lot.
Good.
We're gonna sell the book, and you peaked at number 1, right, in certain categories.
That's right. On Amazon when we released it. It's currently not number 1, so that's why we're doing podcasts and other advertising to keep it at number 1. So I appreciate all the support, and definitely happy to help people however I can. I've got a free newsletter as well. And on my socials, I'm always sharing, helpful strategies for improving all kinds of things with your health. For instance, I used to wear reading glasses all the time. I've gotten rid of those, no longer dependent on reading glasses. And I share how to do that on my social media. Yeah.
Jesus. Oh my gosh. You don't even need that. Who needs glasses? Just we'll audit them out. Anyway, give that. that's on the down low. So yeah, this is cool then. Ultimate Health, Amazon, CraigBrockie.com, and be sure to catch him at UFC 302, where he's going to be fighting some other manly name like Rex Kingdomson. I don't know, whatever. Whatever. There's no more greater name than Craig.
Brockie. Dana White actually called me up last week to see what I was doing.
Have you ever been to a UFC fight?
No, but I have seen Dana White speak, and he's a friend of a friend. So I really admire the guy. I like him a lot. I've never met him, but I saw him speak at 10X Growth Con. And I know our mutual friend, Kerry Kasem, knows him really well. Right. So I hope that I get to meet him someday.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll give you a shot in the octagon against, somebody. Yeah, we'll see, because you're going to be 120. The first 100-year-old. Book it.
Like maybe when we're 80, Dana and I can do a match.
Book it. 2080. It's going to happen.
He also does that power slap stuff.
That's right. That looks horrible. But now, what kind of hell? Like, if you get slapped in the face, are there certain health protocols to repair your face slapped faster in your book? What does your book say about recovery?
Believe it or not, actually, there is stuff in here about concussion and how to undo damage from concussion. I know another guy. His name's Vance. He is an MMA professional MMA fighter, and he uses a substance called methylene blue. He actually sells it also. I think is Meraki or something like that. Trying to think of his brand. Anyway, he's had success with that. I've actually done treatments that actually move the bones in my head and actually rebalance the bones in my head. So I think some of the problem too is when people get a concussion, they can get some compression, like where the skull bones actually are compressing against the brain. And there's actually treatments to actually to move those back in the right spot. And there's also an injection treatment you can do is called neurotherapy.
Mhm.
I met a professional player, hockey player
Wow.
named Jeff Courtnall. I used to go to Wayne Gretzky fantasy hockey camp.
Nice.
It was really fun. I
Was it
went
up in
4 times.
Canada, or did you go down when it was in LA?
It was in LA. Sorry. It was in Phoenix. Most of the ones that I went to,
Okay,
because
okay.
Wayne used to be the coach of the Phoenix Coyotes.
Right.
And then the last one that I went to, and it might have been the last one you did, period,
Mm,
was in Vegas. But
mhm.
anyway, I met Jeff Courtnall. He actually retired due to concussion symptoms.
Yeah,
And he did this injection treatment called neurotherapy. And
right.
he called the treatment the crown of thorns because of all the injections that were done
Wow.
around his brain, around his skull. But he found that that was really helpful in reducing his. So I mentioned all these things in the book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so because when you're doing a face slapping contest, I'm thinking like someone gets hit in the cheek, but sometimes you're gonna miss the cheek and you're gonna go to the head, and
Right.
that's the problems.
No,
Yeah.
I do not
Or
recommend.
are they trained to slap people in the head? Or are they what would be the instruction for that? That's the thing.
I don't know if I ever get the chance to meet Dana White. I'll ask him more about power slap, or maybe this is
How do you tell who wins a power slapping match? Is just whoever says ow louder? Like
I don't
I
know
don't
if
even know.
it's to.
It's more
I've never
spectacle,
actually
I guess.
watched a
Okay.
full match.
Okay.
I've seen some clips of it,
Okay.
and I've seen times where the guys just don't come back.
Yeah.
You've had one
But that
slap
was
too many.
the final slap. This documentary coming to Max is going so
Speaking of
well.
which, Muhammad Ali didn't do so well after getting hit in the head so much. So
No,
it's probably
so
not a good idea to
you can have the
play or
neurotherapy or
practice power
no.
slap.
No, I wouldn't practice it at all. What I guess the last thing I'll do is feedback from readers. What have they has there been something they've commented on the most that was the most helpful from your book? Like they're like, oh man, I really like
You
that
know,
chapter, or I'm gonna go check
it,
this out.
it's been all over the map because people have their own issues. Everyone who's listening to this right now has probably some nagging health issue that's been dragging them down for years or at least months. And
Yeah,
they're like, God, if I could just get rid of my eczema or my
right.
psoriasis or the ringing in my ear or whatever the hell that thing is, or my sore knee, like I have a solution for you.
Okay.
So what happens is that most people have some specific issue specific to them, and then they contact me and they go, "Wow, I had an improvement with blah de blah."
Mhm.
Did I lose you, Evan?
No, I maxed you out so I could say I use health and wellness. And the other
Thanks,
one
brother.
is, and then I didn't show us one yet. Manliest man in America. So there we
That's
go.
right. Thank you, man.
Good. So I'm glad all over the place.
All over
And
the place.
we're all these areas. Okay, I'm gonna check this out. I know it's on my Kindle, so I'm gonna go peruse it. We're gonna see
That's
what I
right.
learned. I'll come back looking like a Hercules.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Hercules.
peptides to boost your human growth hormone. There's peptides to increase
Immune system,
testosterone.
immune
Sorry,
system,
immune
immune
system.
system.
Yeah, it's called thymosin alpha 1. That's the name of
Okay,
the peptide that modulates your immune system.
okay, okay, good. All right, it's all here. Didn't even have to get a hyperbaric chamber. And
No,
but it's there on Amazon. I'll put a link in the notes. So if you guys want a
cool, buddy.
hyperbaric chamber, it'll help the podcast, but it'll also help Craig Brockie to get ultimate health, break free from your health issues, and live your best life. I was reading
I
that on your
hope I
background.
contributed to some socially awkward moments.
Oh no, I got plenty. We'll see what AI thinks about it, and we'll tell the world.
Cool. Thanks for